Hey, good evening. So I am back, obviously. I am really just acting in walking in obedience right now with these videos. So I was getting the feeling that I needed to maybe go a little deeper into the wilderness period, just kind of go a little deeper into what God is expecting of us during that time. And really just be more transparent about my walk, to kind of give an example of what exactly he's expecting. And I don't want to I just want to put a disclaimer out there right now. This video is not like to condemn anybody or make you feel bad about any circumstance that you're in, or your past, or anything like that. God, he's not trying to condemn you, convict you maybe, but that's just so that you understand. He's not trying to make you feel inadequate or anything because of your past. And then the other disclaimer is that I'm not coming to you as if, trust me, as if I'm perfect, because I'm not, because I still struggle today. I mean, because we're human. We have this sin nature, this human nature, or whatever. And so it's one of those things that we'll always have to fight, in our on our journeys with God. We'll always have to, our battle will always be there. I mean, battling with ourselves, with the thoughts in our minds, with our flesh, things like that. And then obviously, other outside battles as well. So um so I, I'm still, obviously I'm still going through my journey, and I will be going through this journey until I blow this joint. Okay, so it, and I'm still in the beginning of mine, right? So yes, I've gotten through the wilderness and everything, but I'm still in the beginning of my journey. I'm still fairly new. I'm not so much as a baby, because I spiritually, because I've grown. He's grown me up, but I definitely am still, new to it, and going through my process as well. I just want to go, reach back and bring people forward. I just want to make sure I'm doing my part, right? So, anyways, this particular video, I know we talked about, um, like the last videos, we just talked about what the wilderness was, and how to identify if you might still be in the wilderness, and then what to do, some steps to take to get yourself through and out, and onto the other side. So to start this video off, I have a foundation scripture that I'm going to start off with, and it's Deuteronomy 30, chapter 30, verses 15 and 16. And it says, and this is God speaking, and he's saying, "See, I set before you today life and prosperity, death and destruction. For I command you today to love the Lord your God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commands, decrees, and laws. Then you will live and increase, and the Lord your God will bless you in the land you are entering to possess." Now, remember, the land that the people were entering in to possess was the promised land, was Canaan. And again, if you did see the last video, that the wilderness period was what the people of Israel had to go through before they could get to the promised land, right? And so we kind of just talked about what they went through and how they behaved and all this other stuff. So I just want to kind of talk about what I went through, and then I just hope it helps anybody that's going through the process. So again, he's saying, "See, I set before you today life and prosperity, death and destruction." Now, essentially what he's saying is look, pay attention. He's saying, see, basically pay attention. I set before you today two options, two pathways, two choices. Okay, one of those choices is life and prosperity. The other choice is death and destruction. Okay, so when God called me, okay, I was given a choice. I didn't have to follow Christ. I didn't have to follow him at all, right? I was definitely given a choice. The only thing is I understood where I was coming from, and I understood my past. I understood where I had been. And to me, it was like, what did I have to lose by following him? Because I knew what was behind me. I had just walked out of a relationship, a 2.5 year relationship. I had just got into a new job, but, I just didn't feel like I wanted to be in the place of corporate America, right? So I was just in this place where, I wasn't following Christ at the moment. I was an atheist, so I didn't believe in God at all at the time. And I was in this place where I just felt like I was just out here by myself, just out here, living this life by myself. And so when he did call me, he certainly gave me a choice, and it was evident. And it was evident that he was saying, you can come forward with me, or you can stay here and go backwards. I was not, I knew he was clearly giving me a choice, and I knew that if I did not go forward, what I would be staying back and receiving would be the same thing that I had known most of my life, and I didn't want it anymore. I was done with it. I was tired of it. I was done with it. So I chose God. I chose life and prosperity. Okay. And so a lot of what I left behind is what a lot of you are going to leave behind, right? I left behind just a lot of ways that I you just can't walk with God and do, right? Obviously, fornication and being in a relationship when you're not married and stuff like that. Obviously, that was one of those things. Before God called me, not only was I like in this relationship, but I had this thing where, on and off, I would get high. I would smoke weed or whatever. And so, right before he called me, maybe a few months prior to that, I had gotten into the baking business. Not that I was baking and selling it or anything like that. I was baking for my own self. Okay. I was baking, and my snacks, my chocolate chip cookies, and I had a thing for chocolate, and the chocolate, and then the weed, and it just at the time I thought it was the right thing that I wanted to do. Okay, so we'll just leave it at that. And so and now I drank. I was a drinker, and I used to pride myself like, man, I could drink and drive, and no one would know that I was drunk, right? It was just ridiculous. I can't say that I was completely mature, but I thought I was grown. I was doing what I wanted to do. I was having fun, So, but let me tell you, when I started, and this is kind of off the subject a little bit, but when I started baking cookies, the first time I did it, this is not, it wasn't funny, okay, at the moment, but I'm laughing right now. I can laugh at it today. But when I started baking the cookies, okay, the first time I baked them, and because I had this sweet tooth, I love chocolate, I got one of the cookies, right? I ate one of the cookies. I was like, man, that cookie is good. That cookie is real good. I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to eat another one. And I don't even think they that strong anyways. I'm just starting out. How do I know how to make, wheat cookies or whatever? And so I ate a second cookie. So, oh my gosh. I ate the second cookie. I'm not thinking anything about it, right? I get on the phone with my girlfriend. I'm talking to her on the phone, and all I know is the more and more I talked to her, the more and more it was hard for me to open my mouth and talk. Before I knew it, I was on the floor. The next thing I knew, I was like, I can't even talk to you anymore. I gotta go. I can't talk anymore. And I kid you not, I laid on my back in this living room till 6 o'clock in the morning with my eyes wide open, as wide as I could make them, because I was afraid to close them, because I thought that if I closed them, I was not going to, they weren't going to open ever again. I thought I was going to die. And I almost called the police, but at the same time, I couldn't even get to my phone because I was totally stuck. So, anyways, I laid there till 6 o'clock in the morning on my back, afraid to close my eyes. And I think this started out maybe at around 9 o'clock that night. So it was just a bad situation to be in. I was home alone, and it was just a really, really bad situation to be in. Like I said, I can laugh about it today, but it was just not, it wasn't, not ever again, okay? So anyway, all right, back on track. So he gave me a choice, all right? So I chose God, okay? And when I chose him, that was when, he started to take me through the notions of, my healing. And, there are things in my past that I needed healing about when I was a child, things that happened to me when I was a kid, kind of growing up and things like that, the environments that I grew up in, all kinds of things. And so, for me, God made me go back to that moment where I was first tainted by the world, and to talk to that little girl, right? To speak to that little girl, and to tell that little girl how much you love her. It was one of the deepest things I could have ever done. And again, this was for me. This was what I needed to go through to get my healing. But I had to apologize to that little girl, because what I had done is I had withheld love from her. Because for me, it was like I thought in my mind I was withholding my love from people, and I was suppressing the love in myself. And so this little girl, this spirit of mine just really wanted to love and be loved. And here I was suppressing her, suppressing that desire for love, suppressing it in an effort to hurt other people, but really I was only hurting myself, right? So he just made me kind of see a lot of different things, and made me forgive a lot of different things, a lot of different situations, a lot of different people that I had to forgive. I had to forgive, because people don't always know the things that they do when they do it, right? People don't know if they've hurt you. Sometimes people hurt you and they can't help it because they're hurt. They don't know how to give love unconditionally because they don't know how to love themselves unconditionally, and they may think that they do, right? And we have good intentions, we think that we do, until God starts to show you yourself, and then you start realizing it, that you were missing this love, this deep unconditional love all along, right? So anyway, those were kind of the things that I had to go through. And so again, like I said, I chose him, and in the process of me choosing him and me going through my healing process, things just started falling off, okay? So, like the weed, it was just like I couldn't touch it anymore. I didn't need it. As a matter of fact, the Holy Spirit was flowing so much through me that I couldn't handle putting any sort of substance into my body and messing with that flow that God had given me, right? And that was a blessing. And so I pretty much the weed that fell apart, that just fell away, just fell away completely. And then next thing I know, the alcohol. I went from, I could drink an old fashioned or something like that, or I could drink a Kentucky Mule, or something like that. And then next thing I know, it was like maybe just a glass of wine. I knew I had changed when I left a whole bottle of wine in my fridge and didn't touch it. As a matter of fact, never touched it. Ended up pouring the whole bottle out. So it was like I just didn't want to have alcohol anymore. Next thing I know, the energy that I was feeling every day, it was so pure, it was so clean, it had me so sharp. But at the same time, like I said, I was vulnerable for a little bit. But the energy that God gave me, His Holy Spirit, everything that He gave me throughout my body, it was so clean and pure. I didn't need anything. I would get up in the middle of the night, like 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and go to the gym and like bang it out on the treadmill. I mean, 45 minutes, I'm gone, right? And I'm wondering, where is this energy coming from? And the whole time it was just God's spirit just flowing through me, flowing through me, flowing through me. So I cut out a lot of things. It wasn't that I did it because, oh, I'm deciding to follow God, and so I just got to do these things even though I really want to do it. It wasn't like, I still want to get high, I still want to drink, but I'm forcing myself not to because I'm following God. No, it wasn't like that. It was like I genuinely did not want it anymore. I genuinely didn't want it. Period. I was done. And so, those were just a couple of the things that started to kind of fall away as I was following Christ and I was getting into His Word, and I was starting to try to get to try to trust Him with my life, trust Him with me, trust Him in this process. It's almost like, I had to remind myself He didn't lead me down this path to leave me here. He couldn't have done that. This isn't a bad thing that I'm going through right now. So I know He didn't walk me down this pathway, and it's dark because I can't see what's ahead. I have no clue what's ahead. I'm walking blindly, blind faith here, okay? And so I knew, like, man, He couldn't have walked me down this way and to leave me. So let me just keep going and doing what it is that I have to do. And so, I just kept going forward. And so even when it came down to, my flesh wanted to have, a relationship, wanted to date someone, right? But God was saying, no. Like, you will be with someone, but you can't be with someone right now because you're not in a position to whereas you can be in a healthy relationship. I need to heal you. So I understood that He needed to heal me before I could get into a relationship with anybody. I could be friends with people, but I couldn't get into a relationship. I certainly couldn't, for a while I was asking myself, I was saying, do I really need to be celibate? Like, is that a requirement? Is that like, again, I was an atheist prior to this. I didn't know all about the Bible. I still don't know everything about it today, and I'm still learning. But I was just like, there are so many people who follow you who are out here fornicating. Not that I'm in anybody's business. I'm just saying, do I have to be celibate, right? Can I just, like, and have a boyfriend? Can I do this, And He was like, no. And then eventually it was like my desire for sexual pleasure, a relationship, it just fell away. It was like, no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready for anybody. I'm not ready to be with anybody. I just started learning how to love myself. I mean, I just learned this, and again, this was 2 years ago. So it was definitely an interesting thing for me. And so even still to this day, I've been it's been 2 years now. I've been totally celibate. I have no desire to date, like to date just to be dating. You know what I mean? It's I understand what God wants for us, for his children. And so I would prefer to wait for Him to lead the way to marriage, but the whole dating scene thing, like, that kind of thing, no, that's done. Not just dating just to be dating, knowing I have no desire to be with that person, or just dating just to have fun, just to pass time. No, God's given me so much more to do with my time that I don't need to waste my time dating somebody that I don't see a future with, right? So when I date, it'll be because I know there's a future there. I see that there's a future there. So anyways, that's a whole nother subject. I'm saying all this to say that because I knew that God was giving me a choice, and because I know that I chose life and prosperity, I knew that everything that I used to do I saw it falling away. I knew it had to fall away, because again, that leads to death and destruction. Now, I just want to make something clear, okay? Because a lot of people think that God is, don't get me wrong, God will discipline us. I mean, we're his children, right? He can be disciplinary in that way, but God is not trying to teach you a lesson. He's not trying to, like, how can I put it? People think that when they do something that they know change their life for the worse, they think, oh, then it's like, oh, God is, punishing me, or he's trying to teach me a lesson, or he's trying to, whatever the case may be. It's usually in a negative tone. It's like looking at God in a negative way, like he's this angry, like, you did this, I'm gonna punish you and condemn you and this and this and that. No, no, no. Again, he is giving us a choice, right? So John 10:10 says, the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. And I'm reading this from the NIV version, by the way. All of my scriptures are from NIV. So he's saying that the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. When you are walking in disobedience, when you are walking in your old ways, right, you are walking in a realm where death and destruction just happens. That's what's a part of that lifestyle. And then when you move over to following Christ and life and prosperity, that is you living that particular lifestyle. And there's life and prosperity there. And so you have to really be mindful when you're going through the wilderness period. You have to really, really, really be mindful of what kind of doors you leave open for the adversary to come in and mess up your testimony, mess up your life, mess up your path, mess around and have you in the wilderness for 40 years, mess around and have you dying in the wilderness, mess around and have you trapped, all kinds of things, right? So you really it's like you got to make sure that all your doors are locked and your windows are closed before you go to bed at night. Something like that, right? So I had to pretty much just make sure I protected myself with God's word, by following his ways. Again, it says, I command you today to love the Lord your God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commands, decrees, and laws. And that's what I did. It's like going into a marriage with God. It's like, you're going into this marriage and you are trusting him and you are submitting to him and you are allowing him to take care of you and to look after you and to guide you and protect you and be the light to your feet, right? And so you're trusting him to do these things. And so I look at it like, when you learn how to follow God the right way, then you can walk into a marriage, and understand how to be a wife to your husband or a husband to your wife or whatever, right? And anyways, I'm speaking from a single perspective, but I'm just saying that's what I believe, and that's what I believe that God has, expressed to me and told me, and that's what I've learned through following him. So anyways, so these are the things that you have to start to really pay attention to is what are the areas in your life where you may be allowing the adversary to come in and mess with your flow and mess with your life, okay? If you are serious about getting out of the wilderness and getting to your promised land, if you were serious about this, if you are committed to this, then you have to commit yourself to Christ and you have to go about things his way, the way that he would do things, and let him teach you and show you and heal you and all these other things, right? And so you have to make a choice. It's either life and prosperity or death and destruction. And again, like I said, it is not God punishing you per se. It's like you decide to live in a world of sin, then you are choosing death and destruction, and that is a particular lifestyle that the adversary manages, okay? And then you could live according to the way that God has planned for us to live, and then live in that life of prosperity and life, right? So I'm just putting this out here in hopes to encourage you to stay on the path and to be strong on the path and to not give in on this path, because it is the most rewarding thing that you can ever do, is to give your life over to Christ and let him and enter into his rest, right? Where you just simply just you give up all these burdens that life can have. I can't tell you how much of a rest I've been sitting in with God. Don't get me wrong, there are times where I'm uncomfortable. It's because he's stretching me, because he wants me in a particular he has a particular path for me, right? He has a assignments for me to do. And so yeah, to build me up to be that leader, to build me up to be that influence, to build me up to be whatever it is that he's called me to be, he's going to put you in situations that will stretch you and stretch you. So they may be uncomfortable, but just know that you're elevating at the same time. So anyways, I hope this encouraged you. Again, I just wanted to kind of just add a little bit more to the wilderness video and just kind of let you know that that you can't live both lives. You can't straddle the fence. There is no gray area. If there were, I wish I could tell you about it, but God is not dealing in gray areas. Okay, there is no gray area. It is either you choose life and prosperity, or you choose death and destruction. Now, here's the thing. The beauty of this is that you can always, it is so hot. I'm sorry. But the beauty of it is that you can always change course. So if you know that, like, right now you are walking in the world and you are walking in death and destruction, and you are, doing all the things that are not pleasing to God, he is still right there. He wants you to come his way because he wants to change your life, right? He wants you to be set apart. He wants you to be, he wants you to walk differently. He wants you to talk differently. He wants you to live differently. He wants you to see yourself differently, right? And so if you are in that space right now, it doesn't mean that you can't turn it around like right now. The best thing you could do is turn it around like right now. That's what I would say. But he is there for you. He is there when you are ready. He is not trying to, he obviously, I understand what can happen if we're not walking with Christ, and he understands that. And I'm not certain that a lot of people fully get it, because a lot of times it's like out of sight, out of mind. You can't see God. You can't see God, this man in front of you, right? Or whatever. You can't see him. You can't see you. It's almost like you think that he's up there and you're here and he can't see what you're doing. Or because he's out of sight, he's just out of mind. But the thing is, he can see everything. He can see it. He knows it. He can see it. It's not hidden. Sorry. So, he's just saying, when you're ready, he's there. And you can call on him. He will be there. He can help you through it. He can guide you. He can give you the strength to cut these things out of your life. He can give you the grace, the mercy. He gives you everything that you need to get those things out of your life. And, again, this is where that, you have to learn how to have discipline. You have to be patient, all the things that, remember, we mentioned in the last video, just being patient, being still, spending that time with him. So I'm saying all this to say that I just encourage you that if you are not walking that way, walking with God fully and wholeheartedly, just consider your ways. Consider, following him. Consider removing everything in your life that may leave a door open for the adversary to come in and mess over you, right? Because he will do it. He has no problem with it. He doesn't like you. Just want to make sure that's clear. He does not like you, okay? So me neither. So don't take it personal. You should be happy about that. So anyways, he doesn't like you. If he can come in and mess up your flow, by all means. One of the things that I know God doesn't say, it's a sin to be drunk and all that stuff, and but I believe that alcohol weakens your will. I do. I believe that it doesn't keep you in a sober mindset. And when I tell you, cutting those things out of my life, cutting fornication, all these things that was clouding my sight, clouding my spirit, just clouding everything in me, when I removed all these things, I kid you not, I could see so clearly. Like, my vision is sharp. I can see so clearly. I can move so clearly. I'm not tied to a bunch of people. I'm not tied to anybody, not spiritually, not soul tied, right? I'm not tied to anyone. I can see clearly. I can spot things from a mile away. I know, if I want to go one way or the other. I know based on what it is that God's called me to do in my life, I know what decisions to make to get to that point. And I know what decisions to not make, right? I know, how to spend my time. I know how not to waste my time. Anything that can pull me away and distract me to a point where I'm falling into my old ways, I understand that I can't go down that path, right? So yeah, I can go around a lot of people and everybody's drinking, but I have to understand that that's just not the kind of life I want to live anymore. Like the lifestyle that I live right now, just following Christ, just taking care of my body, taking care of my mind, taking care of my spirit, taking time for myself, taking time for my business, taking time for my family, taking that time to do these things when I'm not wasted away on drugs and alcohol. I can see clearly. I can give my love. I can give my time to those that need it. I can minister. I can be a mentor. I can do all these things. I can do so much because I'm not wasting my time away. Because a lot of the times when you drink and you get high, it leaves you, the next day you might be a little sluggish. It's hard to get up. It's hard to concentrate, especially when you got to go to work, you're tired, you're cranky, all these kinds of things. And I just, it's just a complete contrast from the way I used to live and the way I live today. Like as this clean, pure energy that God gives me every day. Do I want to go back to those downers? No, you can count me out, fam. You can count me out. So anyway, I digress, okay? I just wanted to just talk to you all, just be transparent about my own life, and just let you know what you'll have to do on this walk if you are serious about walking with Him 100%. And I hope it encourages you, and I hope that you do decide to make those changes. I know when you're in it, sometimes a lot of times it might be kind of hard to do, but I pray for you. I pray that you can do that. I pray that you can let go of those things that may be holding you back from following Christ completely. I pray that you get a lot of understanding and a lot of wisdom from going into His Word and spending time with Him. I pray that you get that energy, that your lifestyle changes and that it develops and it's blessed. You know what I mean? I pray that all the different things that can cloud your mind and your spirit are removed right now, so that you can move forward and see life clearly and really live life clear, live life differently, live it better, live it more abundantly, live it more abundantly for your children, your families, your friends, whatever the case may be. Live it in a way to where you have the energy to handle your business, to do what you got to do, you know what I mean? And not letting life just pass you by, I mean, I can't tell you how much time I had let just pass me by because, I was under the influence or, I was just wasting my time, just throwing it all away. You know what I mean? But, when you make those changes, oh my gosh, I mean, you realize you have more time. I mean, even when it comes to doing your business, you can even be more creative. When it comes to the things that you desire to do for yourself, you can see it so much more clearly. You can move towards those goals. You can set those goals and you can move towards them. You know what I mean? It's the most beautiful thing, and I just pray that you all get there. Okay, so that is all I have today. I hope that it blessed you. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to send me a message, or you can put them in the comments, or if you know me, you can call me. So anyways, thanks for listening. I pray you have a great night, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.